welcome to 10 Cent Beer Night, the sports show on PolymerCityRecords.com. I'm from Akron, Ohio. I'm Seth.
I'm Chris.
And it is January 27th, and there's been a lot that's happened this past week, including, Chris, we've had you since the football season started. We now have a Super Bowl matchup.
Mm-hmm.
We have Tom the Goat Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the defending Super Bowl champs Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. And if the season couldn't get weirder for you, being a Steelers fan, Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell are in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my goodness. How does that happen? Well, it happened. We're here. And the Super Bowl, of course, not this Sunday. It will be the following Sunday. What did you think about the matchups this past weekend, though?
They were good. Of course, the Tampa Bay and Green Bay game was pretty good. I think Green Bay choked a little bit there. They had their chances. They gave Brady too much time to work with. Tampa Bay's defense played very well. They got Rodgers, sacked him a couple of times. So I think it's kind of too soon to say my pick, so I'm gonna hold on my pick.
No, we'll do that next week.
So,
but I just wanted to. How did you feel about the past games this weekend, and what about Kansas City and Buffalo?
It was all right. It was kind of what I expected. Kind of KC's offense to basically do their thing. Tyreek Hill does his thing. Kelsey does his thing. Pretty much Mahomes is doing his thing. But if Bills was able to run the ball more, I think it would have been more of a closer game.
Mm-hmm.
But they couldn't run the ball. They got no running game. Moss was hurt. That hurt him big time. He didn't play. So, got to be able to move the ball versus KC and to beat them. And Bills couldn't do that. So, plus they were in the red zone how many times? 4 times they couldn't get in. They're kicking field goals instead of scoring touchdowns.
Right.
Versus KC, you gotta score.
Yeah,
You don't know if you're going to get a chance again with Mahomes. So, Super Bowl should be interesting. First time there's home field advantage in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, what about that? That's different.
Of course, Brady's making his 10th Super Bowl appearance. He's done it with a team that he didn't know. Crazy to think about. He had no preseason workouts. He had nothing like that.
No, yeah.
He just knew the players' names, but he didn't know, through how, well it was going to work out. So, yes, the GOAT talk is for sure legit. Never really was a Brady's fan, but I'm starting to respect him a little more. Because he's been hated for a while with, Steelers and everybody else and all the,
Colts.
Deflate Gates era and all that. And, of course, he's had his name in some bad press.
Ravens.
But, Ravens, yeah. But he's proven what he's proven. And it's very weird that first year, Tampa Bay's taking them to the Super Bowl, but their defense balled out 3 weeks in a row. And the first team to win, first 3 road games on the road or something like that. The first team to do that too. So he's had definitely quite a journey this year. Which is funny because you look at other greats such as Brett Favre, Steve Young, Joe Montana, guys that played for a second, maybe even third team. And when you think about their careers, you don't think about that second or third team. When Tom Brady's ends, you're going to think about that second team because he's at least taken them to the Super Bowl. Right.
Very interesting fact here is Tom Brady joins LeBron James as the only 2 athletes in the past 30 years that have been to the championship 10 times. Now both of them have been on both sides of it because LeBron took the Lakers and won the Western Conference last year. First Western Conference win. Then he won the finals. Brady wins his first NFC championship. And now we'll find out in about a week from Sunday whether he can add another Super Bowl there. Which he would be the one with the most Super Bowls of all time in the NFL because he would have 7 total.
Right.
There. So that would be crazy within itself. No, definitely this is huge for Tom Brady because just like no Bill Belichick, just a completely different story. Like you said, no regular training camp, no preseason, but he's Tom Brady, so he boom, 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 and they had injuries and stuff on that offense. and he's just found a way to move the ball and win, and just. This is going to be a very good Super Bowl because on the other side, you have Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs who played a great Super Bowl last year, won it, of course. Mm-hmm. They want to defend that. And Pat Mahomes, a lot of people are wondering, is he going to be the heir to when Tom Brady eventually retires, whenever that will be? It could be after next Sunday's game. It could be a year, 2, 3, 4, right. For all we know from here. But the fact is people are in that conversation. But here are the Chiefs and Andy Reid. Into back-to-back Super Bowls mm-hmm. here, and that adds to Andy Reid's great resume there. Changing it a little bit to the teams that lost this past Sunday, and just me looking at the games and whatnot. Of course, Packers had their chance. I think my biggest issue was Packers had the ball at like the 4 with 4th down, and if they put in the end zone, they take the lead.
Right, take the lead, yeah.
And they did a field goal instead. Missed it, I think.
No, they made it.
They made that one. Okay, I thought they missed one. I was on and off the game.
They made the one that what put them down by, was it 5 or something? Or, or something like that, or whatever it was. Pretty much kind of screwed them because Tampa Bay ended up getting first downs and closing the game out. So, but you can't give Brady time, and that's what they did. I know the Green Bay's coach is young and all that stuff too, but you're in the playoffs. It's in tomorrow. You gotta.
It's go to the Super Bowl or go home, and then they're home obviously now. And of course, Mike Pennant's defense has been questioned all year round. Too many holes in certain plays and whatnot. If they have enough defense there, like I told you before the show started, it's a similar situation with the Cleveland Browns, where the offense is very good, but the defense just has too many holes. So it'll be interesting to see how they regroup there. Well, at least Cleveland knows they'll have their quarterback next year. Aaron Rodgers' status seems up in the air, and I think that's pretty risky for Green Bay right now. I don't think it's necessary to pull the plug on somebody like him right now at this point in time. I think if they're the thing with me is, a lot of people don't know, Green Bay is my other team, and I'm very critical about trading up and getting Love in the first round last draft, because not only did I not see how, now this is me personally, how he could be a superstar franchise caliber quarterback, but you look back at that and you're like, you traded up, and I think, don't quote me, I'll have to look it back up, Justin Jefferson may have been on the board still. There's a couple other receivers. He could use the receiver. It's like, if not him, there was a couple others. It's like, if there was a player to trade up for, it was another position somewhere else. And now they have forced, I don't want to say they forced their hand, but now they're going to have to really convince Rodgers that he needs to be part of this next year. And you shouldn't have to do that with a franchise quarterback. That's just my opinion. Had the defense been better, and I know they forced 3 interceptions in the second half. They didn't have a great first half though, and they've been inconsistent all year. Maybe we're in the O-line too. I will say the O-line needs touched up. Maybe we're talking about a different scenario here, but it is what it is. I would say for the Bills and Chiefs game, I thought the Bills D would play a little better. They didn't play bad, but just they've been really dominant all year, and it was like. But again, Pat Mahomes is Pat Mahomes. He'll figure you out eventually.
Right. What KC was doing, they're playing man-to-man.
Right.
So they pretty much were keen. They knew they couldn't run the ball, so they're keen on the pass. So
right.
They pretty much, Diggs had his stuff, but he wasn't the Diggs that Allen and Diggs connection. They kind of slowed that down with playing man-to-man. And I thought KC's defense did well on it. They changed what they were doing to playing man-to-man, what they normally don't do. And I thought they played well, defense actually. But they knew Bills couldn't run the ball, so they knew Allen's going to throw all over, so they had to change that defensive strategy, and they did. And it's 4 times in the end zone. You got to go for red zone. You got to go for touchdowns.
And that number 4 is very.
You got to go for touchdowns.
That's a haunting number for Bills fans who lost 4 straight Super Bowls in a row at a time and all this, and But for the Bills, I'll tell you, your future's bright. Similar to Cleveland and a couple other teams that didn't quite make it this year. Definitely a running back. I would get another wide receiver too, and make sure you have still enough younger depth to keep that defense going. But they're not too far off. They're really not. They just a little bit more. But you're going to see with this coaching staff, with this quarterback in Allen, you're going to see them in the playoffs for a while. Mm-hmm. I feel it's just they just need a little bit more. It's going to come to a time too with the Chiefs. And again, Chiefs, great team. They deserve to be here, obviously. Giving your quarterback $500 million contract, that's going to limit to what other players you can bring in free agency. And of course, you can still draft players and sign them to the rookie contracts. That's not an issue. But it got to a point at some point last season. I actually had more money in my bank account than the Kansas City Chiefs salary cap. That was $17, by the way. Yes, they got down that low. Some of you think you're poor. Well, the Kansas City Chiefs won a Super Bowl and had $17 in their salary cap there. So, but no, they're a professional organization. They can figure a way how to deal with it. But while these other teams don't have a quarterback with $500 million invested into them, mm-hmm. you can add and reorganize is what I'm trying to say. Here's a little kind of fun quiz for you, Chris, in front of your father-in-law here, who is Bob Baseball on the show. Let's play Super Bowl baseball trivia real quick between these two quarterbacks. Both of them were drafted to the Major League Baseball out of high school. What position was Tom Brady, and who did he get drafted by?
Oh, I couldn't tell you that.
Just guess.
Did he get drafted by?
I'll give you this hint. They're no longer a team. They moved.
They moved.
By who he got drafted by. And just think of his position, too. This one might throw you for a loop. Again, this was out of high school. He wasn't even in Michigan yet.
He played catcher or something.
He was catcher.
Was he?
He was catcher. Now guess the team. Guess the team.
No longer. They moved.
They moved. Here's your hint. This should give it away. They won the World Series as their new team in 2019.
2019. Who won the World Series? That's how bad I'm on baseball. Cubs.
No, that was 16. 16. Yeah. But thanks for reminding me of that.
That's right. That was the Indians. Yeah. Who won in 19? Say 20 was.
If I tell you, it's going to give it away.
Yeah, just tell me.
The Nationals won it in 2019.
Oh, that's right. Washington. Yeah. That's how.
So that would be Montreal Expos drafted Tom Brady in the 18th round at catcher when he was in high school. Okay.
This is why I don't do sports part. Means the baseball part with you on the show.
Now Pat Mahomes.
Yeah.
Okay, what position was he?
Was he?
He did play for Texas Tech too in baseball, but he was drafted when he was in high school. What position and what team?
Let's say the Marlins.
The Marlins, and what position?
Pitcher.
He was pitcher, so you got the positions right. It was Detroit Tigers.
Oh, Detroit.
He got fun facts about Pat Mahomes. His dad was a professional pitcher for the Minnesota Twins, the New York Mets, and a couple other organizations. He was relief. Patrick was a starter more. But the son, the Chiefs' Patrick, was more of a starter. His godfather is LaTroy Hawkins, former setup man and closer for the Minnesota Twins. His dad had an okay career. He was just thrown in there. Not too dominant, but he was just there to eat up the innings, get outs. Pat threw a 7-inning no-hitter, 16 strikeouts at a time. And his biggest rival in high school was Michael Kopech of the Chicago White Sox. And Mahomes did hit off him. Like home runs, doubles, yeah. So Mahomes could play baseball, but he wanted to play football too, and look at where he's at now. It's a very incredible career, but I guess he was a very good baseball player, along with other. I won't. Some of them were stars, some of them weren't. But quarterbacks that played baseball: Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, Johnny Manziel. A couple of them were drafted. I know. Russell Wilson was drafted by, I think it was the Rangers. I'm tempted to say he was in spring training a couple of times though. He did do it until he finally backed off and committed to the Seahawks. Manziel got drafted by I think it was the Mariners, but again he didn't play. It was more for publicity. and whatnot. And Jameis, I don't think he was ever drafted, but he played well, and he was just a big guy to have right out there on baseball, because baseball players are usually not as big as Jameis Winston is. But there you have it. Something I wanted to bring up, nothing too big news. We'll talk more about eventually months down the road. But former Ohio State quarterback Dwayne Haskins signed with your Pittsburgh Steelers this past week. What do you think about that?
Yeah, the more and more I thought about it, it's they had no cap. They had low cap risk. They took him, which is it's not horrible.
No,
it's not horrible. Got him for a year. More likely Ben's coming back, so he'll be under Ben for a year, and then they'll probably talk about re-signing him again. Is it more maybe to get him to? Steelers are good at grooming and grooming these young players and good at doing that. Maybe it's more of that and see what. And then Ben retires and him and Mason battle for the first spot. I don't know how that's gonna go, but I was surprised but not surprised. That's pretty way I was. They do need a quarterback. And they have no cap space to go out to get a legit quarterback like a Wentz and a Watson. Yeah. They have no cap space at all to get one of them. So they went out and got a low-risk cap space player. So, low-risk cap space. So Haskins not bad. He was phenomenal in Ohio State. Right. But he's having a lot of issues now. Just being young and just not, in the football mindset all the time. Starting to get in his way. I think Steelers will groom him and get him hopefully back on that track, and we'll see how it goes. But I mean, if you're behind Ben and learn for a year, I mean, that won't be a bad choice by him to get paid. I mean, that's not going to be a real bad choice at all. But it was weird, but I don't mind the pick because they do need a quarterback. They need someone there, but too bad they couldn't go out and get like a Watson or Wentz or someone like that. Even the Stafford now, he's on the.
Yeah, he's available now.
But Steelers have no cap space. Even they're talking about now. I was reading up on stuff today. Talking about cap so bad as they won't really have enough to sign Bud Dupree, and that's going to hurt.
Yeah.
Juju's in the talk about they might not have enough to sign him. McDonald retired, tight end. He retired last week. That freed up some cap space. But how much are they going to pay Ben to come back? That's the thing. So if you're going to pay Ben, amounts of money to come back, they're going to have enough for really anybody because they got really no cap. So they're in a weird position, Steelers are right now, of what they're going to do. I think February 3rd is February 23rd is free agency, I believe.
Is it that early?
I think it's something like that, yeah. It's something.
Usually it's a couple weeks
franchise tag players.
I think franchise tag, is. So, but I think it's the first week of March or something.
Yeah, I think it franchise tags though.
As far as Haskins goes, I wasn't surprised he went to Pittsburgh. That was one of my teams. I had them, New England, Indianapolis, a couple other kids. I knew he was going to get a second chance. I'm surprised at the timing though. It was this early that they brought him in. Mm-hmm. Would you still say they might even still draft somebody? Just have 4 quarterbacks on there and see if Haskins might make the team, or they're just going to just have basically a quarterback battle to see who all is worth keeping around.
They could kind of like one of them draft picks to blow, kind of like a quarterback, but I wouldn't mind seeing him get out like Jones from Alabama. He's kind of like size like Roethlisberger.
Yeah,
kind of he can move, but he can't move, type of quarterback. That's kind of like Steelers style quarterback. That'd be kind of nice to go out. Doubt if they'll be able to get him, but he's some type of quarterback like that. But I wouldn't be surprised if one of the draft picks to pick up a quarterback.
That's what I'm wondering.
They got a few draft picks, so
a
lot more late rounds, but still, it's
if they can hit, they can hit. I'm just thinking because you look at they've had Roethlisberger for a long time. And with Haskins, people know he has potential still. He really does. But potential always loses. Completion always wins. So it's going to come down to can he step up and get to that next level there. I know this guy's got a lot to bring to the table too. Haskins does. It's a great program for him to be in. It's just, if you're the Steelers, you got to ask yourselves, is this just a test to see, is this guy the future, or are you all in, or you're like, we're bringing him in, we're going to test him out, but we're also going to bring in somebody else because we're not going to turn away the next big thing too, if we can get that, It's going to be interesting that we'll have to see that. But yeah, Dwayne Haskins is a Pittsburgh Steeler now, quarterback out of Ohio State that played very, very well.
Yeah, very well, yeah.
I remember, and I still might be right. At first I wasn't sure, but when the Giants passed up on him for Daniel Jones, I said they're going to regret that. Now, he did get cut by Washington, but looking how well Daniel Jones played this year, I might want Dwayne Haskins instead. Right. Yeah, I'm just being honest with you. I'm not huge on Daniel Jones, but remember, too, Daniel Jones was picked by the last regime. He wasn't picked by Coach Judge and whatnot. Judge basically just took what he had and tried to work with it. So maybe they go for a different quarterback, too. We'll have to see. But there's going to be some shakeups in the NFL, whether Rodgers leaves or not. Stafford, he's for sure going to go. Watson's going to for sure go. And it's going to really, really shift around, But it's all going to depend also what happens to the Super Bowl, because Tom Brady's still in. The Bucs are going to be a threat.
Yep.
If they win it all and he decides to retire, they're going to be looking for somebody. You know what I mean? Either way, Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs will remain a threat. So it's going to be very, very interesting. All I know is for our Cleveland Browns, for the first time, I think, ever since they've come back to 99, they had a quarterback in the top 10 passer rating. And so that was big for them, with Baker Mayfield being number 6, I believe it was, on that list. Due to some fumbles and some turnovers, he didn't quite make the top 10 overall. He was 13th or something. But that's better than it's been.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll take that for sure. Shifting our focus on Cavaliers basketball, I first want to apologize for trusting the word of my friend. Last week, the Cavs are coming back against the Nets in overtime. Colin Sexton hits the shot. The story.
Yeah.
I had a friend text me, say, this game's over. Forget about it. So I told him on air, well, Cavs are about to lose this one, so they'll try to get... No, they won. Yeah. They won that game. Then they beat the Nets a second time. Yeah. They had a bad game against the Celtics. They had a good game against the Lakers, but LeBron was LeBron, and they didn't pull out. So they play the Pistons right now. And I'm going to get you an update on that one. I did see that it was Chetty, Sexton, Garland, Okoro, and Drummond starting. Right now it's 42-41 Cavs. They're playing in Cleveland against the Pistons. They're 8-9 now. That's the Cavs record there. For the Pistons, leading scorer is Jeremiah Grant. I don't think it's Jeremiah. It's Jeremy. It's spelled similar to Jeremiah, but it's loading up here. And for the Cavs, leading up, Colin Sexton, 14 points already. We're in almost halftime, 5 minutes and 59 seconds to go, and Sexton already leads them there. Now where we're sitting with the Cavaliers is there's been some trade talk, but at the same time, Dan Gilbert, rumored, has given Kobe Altman the permission to use money flexibility to get this team in the playoffs this year. Are you surprised where the Cavs are at this point? Like I would say, before the season started, would you be surprised to have this playoff talk going into February?
No, I even said before the season started, I believe they're 7th, 8th team.
You did say that. I do remember
just
that.
Just because how they're... Think about how before the COVID hit, how they're playing last year. They weren't playing too bad basketball.
No, they were playing solid.
Yeah. And then JB's a well enough coach. He gets this team up every week, every game. He coaches them to play with heart and all that, and so they play with attitude and all that. So I'm not surprised where they're at. Of course, injuries. Of course, they have plenty of injuries this year. The lineups couldn't stay the same. Fluctuating lineups every game. Yeah. I know a lot of that was on JB, just trying to figure things out because all the injuries, who would be better where and what. But I'm not shocked where they're at now. I believe they can still make the playoffs because, by playing hard, they can win games by playing hard.
Right.
And it can be in every game. You see, it's the Lakers, they were down 14, and they pulled it, came back, and there's back and forth ever since that, And Celtics, they kind of they had one of them off nights.
Yeah, it was just bad.
Celtics are really not as the team that Celtics are normally is this year. but they had, of course, they had a better game. The Nets, the first game, kind of surprised me. That was after Cavs had that two-game postponed game against Washington.
The Wizards, yeah.
So it kind of surprised me in a way Cavs played. A bit of excitement, of course, the big name team coming in. You got Durant, you got Irving. Now it's Irving's first time. It's second time in Cleveland since he's.
I think it's the first time he's played him.
Or first time or something like that. Yeah,
he's always been hurt. He hasn't been in Cleveland since he left. Yeah.
So I know they were up for that game, and they played well. Of course, took it in 2 overtimes. There's in that game, I thought they should have ended it in the fourth quarter.
Right.
But the turnover factors were key in that game, just like Lakers turnover factors.
It was, yeah.
And of course they played without Durant the second game. With Kevin Durant didn't play, but they didn't play as well, but they played well enough to win.
Yeah.
But you got to realize the big three there they're starting to sink in now. They weren't as sinky, and they're starting to get Harden's starting to get his feel. They're starting to get to know each other. So,
right.
But Nets don't play defense. That's a lot of reasons why Cavs won the 2 games of them, because Cavs play defense. So that shows a lot. A lot of these games, Cavs win. They're playing defense. But thing I like to see more is, they want to run with teams. They wanted to run with the Lakers. But I think sometimes running gets you in trouble. Causes more turnovers. Like what happened.
Right.
Towards late, they're running with them. But Lakers are locking down.
Right.
And their passing lanes are cut off. They couldn't do much with it. I know they want to run, but sometimes running, that's more of a they want to play. Yeah. To me, they feel like they want to play more West Coast ball. Right. Which I don't mind. It's fun to watch, but sometimes you got to slow that game up.
Right. And
move the ball and get these guys open,
I think my biggest issue, too, with some of the running plays was specifically the Lakers game. Mm-hmm. You had, because their attitude is rebound and run it. It doesn't matter if you're the point guard or not.
Right.
A lot of their turnovers were JaVale McGee or Andre Drummond, 2 of their big guys, taking the ball up, losing their foot, because they're 7-7-1. And they get a little clumsy. They're tangled up when they're trying, because they're not point guard. They're postmen. And so they lost the ball, and then we turned it over. And these were all critical turnovers. I think my other big criticism, too, was that people aren't bringing up is, you're an NBA player. You're getting paid millions to put the ball in the hoop. Mm-hmm. You're not going to make every shot. We know that. But if there's a wide open layup, shouldn't you hit it, right? Isaac Okoro misses 3 wide open layups. He hits those, we could be talking about a different game between them and... I mean, we're talking wide open, too. I'm not talking about hand in the face, making it difficult, because that's one thing. But I'm talking about... I was taught in 7th grade, when you get that open, you hit it. Yeah, I'm dead serious. And I don't know if he was trying to draw a foul or what he was trying... But I'm talking wide open in the lane. He went and he missed it. And it's like, I understand... They're not perfect, but it's a wide open layup, and you're getting paid how much?
Right.
That was my thing. Other than that, no, I've been very pleased at how they're playing of late. I wish they would have pulled out at least one of those games, Celtics, the Lakers, but they'll play them a second time, and then that's going to be a real definitive moment in their season, I think. If they can come back and beat those guys. I mean, especially they'll play the Celtics a couple times, I think, because they're in the same conference. But no, overall, I can't be mad, especially when in the past with we're in the second LeBron-less era, and which will be forever, I think, unless he were to come back near retirement, and that's another discussion for another time. But I'm just saying, this is the first real life focused Cavs we've had without LeBron for a long time. And just like we're 8-9. Normally, by the time we win 8, we've lost 20 some or 30. Yeah. Like that's just how it's been. But no, this year, and they've been tough on teams. They're winning the games they usually should win for the most part, but they're also winning some games that nobody thought they were going to win. No, they're playing well. It's good to have Garland back. It's good to have Windler back out there.
Yeah.
Looking forward to have Kevin Love there, because that's my attitude too. Is you're hearing all this trade talk and whatnot. And me personally, if I'm Kobe Altman, they're playing well right now with what they have. Wait till Love comes back. Put him in the mold. Wait closer to trade deadline before you pull the trigger on something. Unless you have something like the James Harden trade where they ran away with a good deal. where they had to do it now because Houston's trying to get rid of him, and it was a situation where they had to take advantage of a very good deal. That's one thing, but I don't see another deal like that happen anytime soon. But I know there's people that are interested in their big men. Kevin Love's been in the talk. I know the Nets have talked. The Nets are hoping they cut Drummond or buy him out, and I think that's ridiculous. Right. I don't see that at all happening. Another team I would be interested to hear as far as the Cavaliers go, as far as trade partners. One's the Lakers. Rumor has it they want McGee back.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll see if that
kind of showed a little bit in the game the other night because McGee would get a lot of rebounds for him.
Right.
They're kind of missing that. What's the Gasol?
Marc Gasol. Yeah. He hasn't been playing up to par. No,
and they're missing that guy off the bench coming in and getting rebounds like McGee did, and it showed a little bit late in the game too.
Right.
Yeah, they got a lot. The thing about this, Lakers got a lot of second chance shots too. Cavs couldn't rebound when they needed to.
Right.
And they're getting a lot of second chance shots. So.
And that was aggravating to watch a bit. It was a rare game for the Cavs because usually they get that rebound. Other trade partners potentially. One is the Portland Trail Blazers for multiple reasons. So C.J. McCollum's talked to Cleveland about their big men because they need some more depth with big men. On top of that, McCollum right now he's hurt. Lillard and McCollum have tried to carry as much of the load as possible. They might need a third real all-star. One guy that was from there was Kevin Love. That might come up. Again, with a Kevin Love trade, you'd probably need 3 or 4 teams involved in order to make it happen.
Make it happen, yeah.
It happens, so. And another team I'm dead serious of, watch out for Golden State. Yeah. As far as the trade candidate goes, hearing rumors of a possible big trade between them and the Pelicans, that's up in the air. But the fact is, Golden State did talk to Cleveland before the draft. Rumor had it Kevin Love's name was involved. Golden State likes Kevin Love. And there's been also rumors about, I'm not saying for sure, especially right now he's playing well for them. Andrew Wiggins returned as he was originally drafted to Cleveland, but again, was traded for Kevin Love. And actually, it's looking like Cavs had won that trade, but now Wiggins is really, this game stepped up. But again, if you're the Warriors, you're like, this is kind of working out with us, especially with Clay hurt. They're probably going to keep him right now, but we'll see. But it could get a little shaky there in the NBA there. But right now, I think it's safe to say the Cavs are playing well. It's a shame we all can't go to the games because they would be packing the house even more than expected, I think. And I think Dan Gilbert knows that too. He's thinking it. But at the same time, the success is good, and that will hopefully bring a lot of fans back. I did notice, I don't think Larry Nance is playing tonight. I think his wrist is still bothering him.
Of course, I'd heard the other night too for the Lakers, him not playing.
Yeah, because he used to play for LA. He wanted to play against LeBron. That guy got to play with Kobe and LeBron at a time. So he's already had an interesting career, at a young career too. But yeah, just not having him too, and I hope he gets to play the next game against the Lakers for sure. It should be a good one, and that's what interests me in that Lakers game. Of course, we're all talking about LeBron because he's the big he's the local name here in Akron. He was the guy that ended the championship drought in Cleveland with the Cavaliers, but that's all they had the other night against the Cavs was LeBron. Everybody else did not show up, and that kind of was surprising.
Yeah, Pope didn't show up. He was off.
Davis had a bad game. He was in
foul trouble. Davis was, he was off. They're just all off. The inside game worked for them. They destroyed the Cavs on the inside, which it worked. So that's a lot of But they're all just off. They were just coming in with, and showing up. That's what it seemed like. But LeBron wanted to win though.
Yeah.
He wasn't gonna let that.
Exactly. I guess he got heckled by a member of the front office too, and that did not. It's like, what this guy can do. Can you just shut your mouth? It's like we all were thinking, "Oh my gosh, he missed," but you didn't have to actually say it out loud. You know what I mean? It was only it was only a matter of time before he started hitting those shots. But he did give us a great compliment, though. He was being interviewed, and he says, of course, I secretly pay close attention to the Cavaliers,
right.
and he said they're building a good team over here. So he said they're doing well. So that was a compliment to give, because he's never really admitted that, but he's paid attention. I won't forget, and I this may have been a fact, this may not be, but the year that I think it was the Anthony Bennett draft. Okay, they hadn't drafted him yet. They just announced the Cavs had the first overall pick again, and LeBron was in a gaze at pregame. They were going to play the Pacers and the Heat, and he was off that whole first half, and you had to wonder if he saw that and went, "Oh my gosh, what are they doing up there?" It just the gears start rolling. But now I'm not going to say for sure that happened because it's LeBron. He's so focused on the game, but it just was the look on his face during pregame after that was announced. The look, it made you wonder a bit. But again, he ends up coming back either way in that scenario. But J.B. Bickerstaff, of course, given his team a good compliment too about the Lakers game, said they played very well. Hinted I guess it was the refs he had an issue with, a couple questionable calls, but he couldn't really say it.
Yeah.
He's not,
They challenged them too, so the one they challenged, and it didn't go the Cavs' way. But yeah, it's just, that shows Cavs are playing hard.
Right.
Be getting in them situations where fouls are like that, they're playing hard. So I'd rather see them getting in foul situations because they're playing hard and not make them fouls like that. So that's what's just showing Cavs. Their tone's changed, which I like.
It's a different environment. It's a different attitude.
Right.
It was something we were talking about last week with Bob here. The environment in Cleveland in general. I think this is the first time we've had 3 coaches that they're going to stay long term. Now Terry Francona's been there for a while. But what he brought to the table, what Kevin Stefanski's bringing to the table, and now what J.B. Bickerstaff's bringing in, it's a similar attitude that's winning and working right now. So it just feels good to be a Cleveland fan for once, and we can thank those gentlemen right there for that. One player I wanted to bring up to you, too, we got a break in a few minutes, but not quite yet. Cedi Osman looks a lot better than he did at this time last year. Of course, last year he was kind of shaky at games.
Right.
This time, now he's becoming a valuable player on this team. If you want to go a little bit deeper in that, there's fantasy teams picking him up now because this is just a guy that's consistently putting up better numbers. He's, of course, locked in long term. They signed an extension last year. How do we feel about him moving forward as part of because at first it was looking like maybe he loses his starting spot. Right. Because they got Okoro. Now Okoro's going to need a little bit more work to come in.
He's going to need work,
when people got hurt, when Sexton gets hurt, when Garland got hurt, and that Drummond needed some weight lift off his shoulders, that's when Osman came in and stepped up and played very well. Maybe a long-term swing guy now here in Cleveland there. So it'll be interesting. I do like looking again at that James Harden trade. Of course, Jared Allen, good pick. He's coming off the bench with JaVale McGee doing and that's when the one thing I like that Cleveland's doing that a lot of teams don't is I've always been a fan that the big man is still relevant in this game. I know they keep talking about the small ball, the speed, the 3-point shot and whatnot. You have a big man there, you win games. Okay, if you put Andre Drummond on that 2017-18 Cavs team, you have a whole different finals. I'm dead serious because you don't have anybody for the Warriors guarding that basket against Andre Drummond. Yes, okay, they had Kevin Durant, but when he misses shots, who's going to rebound that? That's Andre Drummond. Who's going to guard it down low when the Cavs need an easy basket against Andre Drummond? Nobody. That's the big difference. And you look at even when the Raptors went out there, they had Kawhi Leonard. That was a big deal. That he's the main reason. But they also traded for Marc Gasol just because they're getting Marc at basically the tail end of his career, where he was still relevant. He brought a little bit more than Jonas did. So they bring him in, and that made a difference. So it's the big man is still relevant. That's why, with this trade deadline talk, it makes me a little nervous because it's I don't want to give up that whole big man. Especially if one goes down, you have plenty of backup.
Right.
But at the same time, if they can get a better piece in there. And I know contracts are talking because Sexton's almost done with his rookie year contract. Jared Allen's a restricted free agent going into next year. He wants $90 million dollar contract. And then you have Andre Drummond, who he wants to stay, but he wants his money at the same time. It's a whole cluster of issues as far as that's concerned. But to have those big men right there, it's made a big difference. But I want to also bring up Prince that came out of that trade too. How much of a great role player he is to this team, especially shooting those couple key threes there he's had the past few games and so. But so it's been fun to watch the Cavs. Let me give you an update. Okay, it might be halftime now.
They're playing like a 7th, 8th team. They weren't 6 till the last Lakers. They weren't 6. They were climbing up.
At halftime, they're only down by 2. No big deal. That's they can come back. Pistons is a team though they should be able to beat. Being down at halftime is not a big deal there. Jeremy Grant 12 points. Wayne Ellington used to play for the Cavs, 11 points.
Right.
I don't see any Blake Griffin. I think he's hurt.
I think he still is hurt. Yeah, he's been that player's been kind of weird of late, his injuries last couple of seasons.
Exactly. 16 points, 5 rebounds for Colin Sexton, 12 points, 9 rebounds for Andre Drummond. And you got 9 points and 2 assists from Garland there. Windler's played, so that's good. Jared Allen. McGee hasn't played yet. I don't know if they're going to give him the day off there. But, yeah, no Kevin Love, no Larry Nance. Another guy we haven't talked about, no Matthew Dellavedova yet either. I know they miss him somewhere there, too. So just a little spark plug there. Exactly. But to have him here, I know he's pretty much proud of.
He's a hustler,
shooting guard. Yeah, exactly.
He must have a concussion, but it must be a long-term concussion or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something happened.
Yeah, because it was concussion for a bit, and then we haven't heard from him, and it's been a while. So hopefully it's not like a Greedy Williams situation with the Browns where something in the background happens and we don't see the guy at all. But again, he'll come back when he's ready. Kevin Love, they're saying it might be more next week. It was rumored this week, but believe it or not, we're into February next week. So they're talking he might be better and ready to go next week.
Now, what do you think? Well, with Kevin Porter being gone, how do you think? I know you probably talked about this last week, but how do you think about that with him gone? Do you think that's going to make a difference in the role play of the team if he was able to come back? Or
their future was heavily invested into him. I do believe there's an Eastern Conference scout that had made a comment. He says they're not going to bring it up, but he says this hurts them badly. They were heavily invested into him. They traded. I don't know if you remember this. They traded 4 second-round picks and $2 million for him. When they trade, they traded away technically four rights to 4 players and $2 million to get him from when the Pistons drafted him. They were sold on him. I thought he was going to be a real deal, but again, a lot of people don't know Kobe Altman has had a relationship with him since he was a freshman at USC during the season. Like, Kobe Altman used to fly to California and visit him and just talk to him on campus and all that. Wow. And I didn't know that was okay in the NBA. I know in the NFL that's tampering and that's all. Okay, but I guess in the NBA, as long as it's like personal, I haven't looked it up or anything, but I guess if it's like personal and it's not necessary for the team, then that's okay. That's okay to do, because we knew Altman, he had a relationship with Andre Drummond before he was in Cleveland and a couple other players all around the league, and so that's whatever, I guess. But they said they have talked to him for a long time before. They said they went above and beyond, and they basically were more patient than any other team would have been.
Right.
The way they handled it. So with it being the last straw, it was truly the last straw. I wish him well, but it's like it gets to a point. I mean, we were talking about, and I know it's different situation, different type, but we were talking about the Johnny Manziel, Josh Gordon situation last week, okay? Josh Gordon definitely suspended in the NFL. How talented, Hall of Fame potential. I even went that far to say that, and he couldn't get it together. Johnny Manziel, I couldn't tell you he was Hall of Fame potential, but you saw the potential there. People did. couldn't get it together. And it's hard to see. I pull it out. If he becomes a superstar in Houston and gets up to that James Harden level they thought he would, good for them.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. But it's like you can't. One of the things that works for this Cavs team is there's no drama and there's all this unity in the locker room. Even though they always said he was very unified with them, they always were on the same page with them. You cannot have that toxic characteristics in the locker room there. So I think it did send them back a little bit. I'm not going to say a lot because they could still take. I mean, Kobe Altman's working with 4 first-round picks in the past couple of years now, and working those along with the other veteran players and whatnot. We got to take a break real quick. When we come back, we're going to be talking about all sorts of stuff. Ohio State, Akron basketball, Cleveland Indians baseball, all that fun stuff. We'll find something to talk about. Give us about 5 minutes here on PolymerCityRecords.com. We'll be right back.
These blues. This morning the blues walked in like a man. All these blues. The blues walked in like a man. Worried blues. Give me your right hand. Blues is a low down and a shaking chill. Yes, preach it now. If you ain't never had 'em, I hope you never will. When I preach these blues, you come on in, take your seat and sit on down. When I preach these blues, you come on in, take your seat and sit on down. And if the spirit moves you, if the spirit moves you, and if the spirit moves you, Lord, if the spirit moves you, jump straight up and down. Let these blues is a low down and an aching heart disease. Yeah, these blues is a low down and an aching old heart disease. Like consumption, killing me by degrees. I can study the rain, oh, I drive my blues away. I've been studying the rain, I'm gonna drive my blues away. Going out to the distillery, gonna stay out there all day. Up jumped the devil.
Well, welcome back to Ted Set Beer here on PolymerCityRecords.com. I'm Seth, and
Chris.
There's Chris there. The camera's not angled there. It's at me. But disappointing yesterday. Major League Baseball announces there's not going to be a 2021 class. It has nothing to do with COVID. They just did not vote for people to go into the class this year. Closest one, you have to have 75% vote. That's what Bob was telling us last week. Kurt Schilling got 71%. Cleveland Indians legend Omar Vizquel went from 60% votes last year to 49%. Rumor of that being the incident between supposedly his ex-wife said he did stuff to her at a point, and neighbors are denying it. Other people are denying it. It sounds out of character for Omar. I know things happen in the background behind closed doors in people's lives. Not sure about this, and of course with Kurt Schilling, it's up in there. I mean, there's obvious ones: Roger Clemens, Barry Bonds, steroids. Right. So that's why. Which, by the way, all this reminds me, I want to dedicate this show today to the legendary Hank Aaron that passed away a week ago, almost a week ago. He was also a big Cleveland Browns fan. A lot of people did not know that, but. He dies at least on a good note as far as being a Cleveland Browns fan there. But just a legend and the era he played and everything, and he's got just an amazing story from front to back there. But like you look at Barry Bonds, who beat him in the home run list, not talked about because of the steroids issue. And I understand that part. And I understand the Roger Clemens one, but there had to be somebody you had to vote in for this year. Of course, last year's class includes Derek Jeter and Mariano Rivera. So New York's going to be packed full of Yankees. It already is.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, my dad used to live up there. Yeah. He lived in two different areas in New York, and you never saw a Mets thing of any kind. It was all Yankees. This was upstate. This wasn't near the city. This was everywhere was Yankees. You forget that the Mets exist. It's like in Ohio, everything is Indians. You forget the Reds exist. You know what I mean? But it's just the way it is sometimes. But we'll see. Well, maybe now Francisco Lindor's in the Mets, so maybe the Mets have that turnaround there and get more respected. But a little disappointing that you would think in a major sport that you would at least bring in one person to bring into a class, and it's just not happening this year. So
well, the NFL did, even though they didn't have all the Hall of Fame stuff in the summertime, but they still named a class.
Right. Well, Major League Baseball did the same, but they're still going to have a 2021 class too. They're still going to name a few names there, and that hasn't been announced yet either. I don't think it's going to be close.
Usually announce it.
It's a Super Bowl weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, Super Bowl weekend they start announcing it.
Okay, so that's coming up there. Clay Matthews of the Browns is on it. I know. What Steelers do we have on it? Not named already, like last year. I know Cower and Palma are coming from last year, but this year, I don't know if there's one this year. Hines Ward, I think,
he didn't make it.
He didn't make it? Okay, so he didn't make it. So there might not be...
No, there might have been one, an old guy. Might have been... there might have been one.
Check it out
old guy, but no, Hines Ward didn't make it again. Wish he would have. Just get him in, but... hopefully next year. You get so close. You get so close to potentially making it, and it doesn't. But I don't know if a lot of that, what he's seen, he was a hard-nosed player, in the NFL.
Your finals were Jared Allen. We know him from the Chiefs and Vikings. He did play for the Bears and Panthers at the end, but that's what mainly he played for. Would it be an honor, and they're in Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes. If Rodney Barber he's a finalist if he gets announced down there. Tony Baselli, tackle of the Jaguars and Texans. Actually, no, he was in the injured reserve for the Texans. He didn't even get to play, but he's on there. Leroy Butler. I knew there was one guy, Alan Fenica.
Fenica,
yeah.
There was one guy
Steelers, Jets, and but mainly the Steelers. Mm-hmm. He's a finalist. Torrey Holt's a finalist. Calvin Johnson. John Lynch, who is now the GM for the 49ers, but he played for the Buccaneers. That would be also an honor there. Most of his career is the Buccaneers. Peyton Manning, he's a lock. Forget about it. He'll be in. If he's not in, then I don't know who else deserves it. Clay Matthews, we brought him up. Sam Mills, who played for the Saints till 94, and then the Panthers. Then he was an 80s, 90s player. Richard Seymour. He played for a couple of those Patriot teams that won the Super Bowl. Zach Thomas played for the Dolphins and the Cowboys there. Reggie Wayne, he's going to be almost a lock there. And then Charles Woods, I would say he's a lock too there for the Raiders and the Packers there. Those are your finalists. So I knew there was one, and that was Fenica there. He made the finalists, so we'll find out if maybe... when Pittsburgh plays, are they still playing the Cowboys in the Hall of Fame game? If you have 3 Hall of Famers, there's going to be a lot of black and yellow there, down in there in Canton. So
hopefully they have, somewhat of everything. Hopefully they can do it.
Yeah. Well, going a tad political for the COVID reasons, the things I've been told. We had a very... Now, this doesn't mean he's completely right, but we had a very positive comment made by Dr. Fauci a couple weeks ago, and I know he contradicts himself, that said that in the fall, so this is like end of summer, early fall, so this would count, he said all sporting events and music concerts could be full attendance. So if he's right, we could be talking about a regular game here, So I'm hoping it will... And I'm hoping for the city of Canton, too, because... I know a lot of people that work in Canton, and that Hall of Fame week is a big money week. That's a special week in Canton.
Yep.
For small businesses, big money. I'm not just talking about NFL, but that's a special time. Obviously Cooperstown can say it for baseball. I don't know if they can even say it in basketball where it's at.
Yeah.
But like in Canton, that's a holiday week. That's for and they missed out on it last year. It crushed them. Give it to them this year. You know what? And I understand, if you want to get all technical about, well, we need to make sure people are safe. Well, yeah, okay. I'm not saying don't, but I'm saying hopefully by that time things will be much better, and we can have that for sure. But no, we'll find out in about almost a week, Super Bowl weekend, if those guys make the Hall of Fame or not. And I'm really pulling for Clay Matthews since we couldn't get Omar in there for this one. Real quick, let's talk about the Pro Bowl. Just real quick, just read off about the Pro Bowl rosters and who all made it there.
It's canceled, right? The game, right?
The game's canceled, yeah. For the AFC, we're just going to do Browns and Steelers because I really don't care about the rest. I mean, you got your Patrick Mahomes, of course, there. Yeah. Nick Chubb will be going to his second Pro Bowl there. You got Joe Batonia. This is like his third or fourth he's been in. Myles Garrett, this is might be his first, if not his second. Steelers, Cameron Hayward. Do you remember what year this is for him?
Of
Pro Bowl.
Oh, he's a couple.
He's got a few.
He's got a few, yeah.
Minka Fitzpatrick's made it too. So
this might be his Just Fitzpatrick's first, maybe.
Yeah. T.J. Watt.
Watts might be Watts first. Or
Watts
second.
First, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't. It doesn't even say on the side. I thought it would say like what number, but it doesn't. I thought Minka had another one in Miami, but I might be wrong.
He might have, but he's still young. He's only been a couple years.
Yeah. Tom Brady did not make the Pro Bowl roster.
Yeah.
This year, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, and Kyler Murray made it. Now Kyler had a solid season, but I thought down the line, he kind of dipped there. But we'll see. But other than that, I mean, the rest you can look up because again, if they're not even playing the game. Which the game didn't matter. This is,
no.
I'm not gonna lie. This is the most boring all-star game there is in professional sports. It just is. Basketball, they've changed it a bit. At least there's highlight reels. At least they make it interesting. Baseball now might tie football for the most boring because at first it meant something. It was home field advantage for the World Series, so it was actually always a pretty good game. Now it's for nothing. It's just there. It's for show. It's for people with money to just sit in the stands and watch a bunch of all-stars play, and that's it. It's stupid. It's what it is. It's
basketball. Try to get off on the basketball track again, but I guess they're not talking about in talks of All-Star.
Right.
Have an All-Star game. So we'll see if they.
Yeah, they're talking about bringing the game back because I know at first there was going to be one. Now they're saying, we're warming up to it. I mean, I don't know if they'll do the dunk contest.
I don't think they're going to do all that. But
no, which is disappointing because that's the whole.
I know 3-point and all that.
That's the whole week. I think it's in March this year.
Yeah, March.
The season got back, which is weird because
8th or something like that.
For me, it's always like, how do I remember what time of the year, like NBA, this and that? It's like, the swimsuit edition comes out for Sports Illustrated. Giant Eagle puts out their paskies or whatever. Yeah. It's just a big thing for around here, those donut things. It's Valentine's Day, and then you have NBA All-Star Week, and it's just all combined in one. And no, it's all separate, and it's all screwed up, and it's just all over the place now. But so All-Star games, like I think March 5th through 8th or something week is at least game or no game. They're going to have a break within the action, rightfully so. So we'll see. Let me see if I can pull up and see how the Cavs are doing. Speaking of basketball, there. You know what? Before we talk about the Cavs, we said we'd talk about Akron and Ohio State. So let's talk about Akron and Ohio State. Akron got their revenge yesterday against Eastern Michigan. They lost to them earlier this year, 86-65. So that would put Akron at. Let me pull it up here. Akron is 7-2 in the conference, 9-3 overall. And they have the second best record out of the whole MAC, with Toledo being 14-4, playing more games there, and Toledo being 9-1 in the conference. So Akron's picking it back up. They're starting to look like normal Akron now.
They have a four-game winning streak?
Something like that.
4-game winning streak? 5
yeah, it's right here. Streak. Then you have in there it's one conference this year, but on my standings it still breaks it up into two. Kent State 8-4, Miami, Ohio 7-5. Bowling Green is 10-6 overall, but they're 6-4 against the conference. Bowling Green's doing a bit better than they normally have, and then you have Buffalo in there, overall 6-5. Normally not where they're at. At the other side in the West, Toledo's playing well, like I just said. Ball State is 6-7, 4-4. Central Michigan is 6-9 and 2-6 in the conference, and the rest are just bad. Western, Northern Illinois, Eastern, which I say because Eastern, Northern both beat Akron. So the two conference games Akron's lost to are against two of the worst teams in the conference. So that's just not good. But they've made it up since then. So we'll give them a little bit of slack. But coming down the line, they shouldn't.
They
be
play
doing that stuff.
I think they play Toledo here in a couple weeks or something like that, so that'd be a big game.
Yeah, that would be a big game.
They beat Toledo by 1 point the first time they played them, so that'd be a big game. They got Kent on the schedule still.
I think they're done with Kent.
They're done with that.
Yeah. They added Kent. Good. Okay, good. Because at first they won. Yeah.
So that's a good thing now.
Yeah. Why would they not add them? Going to Ohio State, they're in the second half against Penn State, 59-55. They're down by 4. Ohio State's now 13 in the nation, so that is good in the standings here.
Yeah, they're Ohio State. Is trying to keep up a little bit. It's usually, when Ohio State football is on, everybody's focused on Ohio State football, and you still have Ohio State basketball playing, but everybody's focused on Ohio State football. So it's kind of like, since their football is done, everybody kind of refocuses on Ohio State, basketball. So, the big, I don't know his name, but I'll bring up their star player got hurt for this year.
Yeah.
And that's a big, big hurt. But they're finding their way here in the Big Ten, the Buckeyes. They've been winning, and they've been dropping a couple winnings, so they're trying to still find their way. We'll see what they do in tournament time.
Exactly.
I think they'll win some games in tournament. They get out of the first round, second round of the tournament, but they're still kind of they're playing all right, but not as normal like a good Ohio State basketball team.
That coach is still putting in his program too. He's in his third season now.
Right.
They're 12-4, 6-4 in the conference. They're 5th in the Big Ten. Penn State is second to last, so they should pull out that. That team up north is 13-1 and 8-1 in the conference. They're actually, even though we don't like them, they're a pretty good basketball program.
They got the coach, of course.
Right.
It's like a coach, and they're starting to
Juwan Howard.
Howard, yeah.
Yes.
And they're starting to get recruits. Recruits are coming.
Right.
These big names are coming now. They're starting to get them recruits. So things are changing there in Michigan in basketball.
Right.
You can see the last couple of seasons here, so it's something we're going to have to, I guess, live with.
Yeah.
Like I say, right now. Yeah. Their era.
I mean, they got to win.
Era,
they got to win something, because in the gridiron, they ain't winning a damn thing.
It's their era, I guess, for basketball, so I guess tables turn,
Second is Iowa, who is 12-3 and 6-2 in the conference. Wisconsin is 12-4 with 6-3 in the conference. Wisconsin tends to be pretty consistent.
Right.
And then Illinois is fourth. They're 10-5 with 6-3 in the conference. Illinois, that's where John Gross from Akron used to coach. Mm-hmm. And then when he was relieved of his duties, he came to Akron there, and Gross has done a heck of a job in Akron. So, yeah, so hopefully these teams can continue doing what they're doing and keep on improving, and we can see a good end. Hopefully both of them in the big tournament too, which is, it'll be here before you know it. It really will be. Because this is our last show for January. February starts next week. Mm-hmm. So there you go. Cavaliers up 75-71 near the end of the third quarter here for Pistons. Jeremy Grant, 19 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 assists. Mason Plumlee, 13 points, 10 rebounds for Mason there for the Pistons. For the Cavaliers, Colin Sexton still has only 16 points. He's got 4 rebounds. Darius Garland's got 14 points. And
Garland's
4
stepping
assists.
up then.
Yep.
So that's a good sign there.
Drummond, 14 points and 10 rebounds. I'm trying to see where all the scores go. There's a lot more from the bench from Prince, Windler, and Allen, but not much from the guys that were tearing up from the first half. But they have the lead. It's now 77-74. So that's good. This is a team that the Cavs should beat.
Should beat, yeah.
And they go back.
Cavs
to
have some games coming up are favorable games though.
Yeah, they do.
Look at their schedule.
Yeah, actually, let's talk about that real quick. Yeah, between now and our next show next Wednesday, of course they're playing the Pistons right now. On Friday they go to New York to play the Knicks. Knicks have had their number, and then there's one game the Cavs beat up. Andre Drummond single-handedly took out the Knicks.
Right.
And that was a game the Knicks probably should have won. But so that one, it's not a given, but they should be able to beat them. That's how I look at that one. On Sunday at 8 o'clock, they go to Minnesota to play the Timberwolves. Let me pull up, because I can't remember how good the Timberwolves are this year. Western Conference. The Timberwolves are the worst team in the conference. 4-12. And again, they had the first overall pick in the draft. So that's a game the Cavs could, and they can. I mean, I know they have Towns, but we have Andre Drummond, so that matches up well. A lot of the rest of their team is young. They've traded away a lot. So over the years, I honestly thought Minnesota was heading the right direction about 4 years ago, and now you don't know what's going on over there. looking ahead, that will be Sunday's game. And then they come to Cleveland, play Timberwolves again Monday.
Right.
So there's a chance there's a winning streak there somewhere, as long as they can stick to their guns and play. And then the next Wednesday night, the Clippers come to town against Cleveland, and that's going to be a test there. But they have a potential to win between tonight's game and our next show at least 4 games.
Yeah, I think you got the Bucks after that. They play the Bucks back to back, I believe.
Let me pull that up, Steve.
Like Friday and I think it's back to back.
Back to back, yeah.
So.
And you play a lot of the Western. They go to the West Side,
right.
yeah. They go, yes.
They play a Suns team on the road in the West. They play a Sun. Yeah, so yeah. So it should be very interesting. I guess after these first couple games.
But hopefully these wins get them rejuvenated and everything, and hopefully we'll get Kevin Love back at some point. I do want to see him. I know I had friends that were on the fence as far as Kevin Love and his return go, because we play such a fast-paced game. Is he going to slow us down? And it's like, at the same time, you got to remember what Love brings to the table. He scores. He's a 2010 player.
Right.
And what I mean by that is, I don't mean the year. I mean 20 points, 10 rebounds. When he's on, I actually wish we had the 2010 Kevin Love. Now that guy was, this one's a little beat up. I love Kevin Love. Don't get me wrong, but back in 2010, he was one of the most threatening power forwards in the game. But he still brings a lot of quality to the team, and you could tell on the sideline he wants to be a part of what's going on in the court, but he can't right now. Yeah. But that's why I said, look, we have this good team all around. Even if the Kevin Porter thing, it didn't work out, it's over. He's sent to Houston. You have some good pieces there as long as they can stay healthy. Get Love back in the mix and see how it looks. Because before the Cavs make a trade, they got to decide what's going to take us in the playoffs and what's going to work long term. Do they really want to rent anybody out, or do they want to just keep pieces that are going to work for the next couple of years before they make these trade ideas? So they want to put Love out there, see how he gels with all this, and he should do well. But at the same time, there's going to be teams that are going to want Kevin Love services if he's played well healthy. An uncle of mine who doesn't follow, he used to follow sports more, but now he got kind of old and became a dad and kind of fell off. And he only started watching teams when they were good again. He didn't stick by the Browns until now, just recently. He didn't watch the Cavs between the LeBron eras, but he made a comment that hit the nail on the head concerning back when the Big Three in the Cleveland first happened. And he said, the thing is, Kevin Love is not that top-tier superstar like LeBron and Kyrie were, but he takes you to the finals. Right. And I'm not saying if the Cavs made the playoffs with Kevin Love this year, they're going to the finals, but he was that player. He did the other things, the little things. He did he was critical to that. Even Game 7 of 2016, you look at his stats, they're not great, but he did the little things. Like, let's talk about those final seconds, those remarkable, memorable final seconds there. The ones where Steph Curry misses the shot, Space is taking it back, and all the Cavs fans are going, wait a minute, they're not going to have enough time. And that's where it started realizing, we're going to win a championship. Kevin Love was the one that was set up on that key against Steph Curry, blocking his view, and he did that little stuff all day. He got the key rebounds and that one, but that's what Kevin Love brings to the table there as far as his role with teams and whatnot. But we'll find. I guess we'll just find out, But he's got to stay healthy. That's what it's going to come down to. The unfortunate part for him with all this is this Cavs team has proven they can win without him, and it might be just being honest to another local Akronite. It might be time to see the Larry Nance era and him in the starting lineup on the regular starting soon. That's just it just might get to that time. But we'll, again, play it by ear. We'll see. I mean, there's still people that feel, you know what, Nance is he's better off the bench. Right. He's better relieving Kevin Love. Because if you can remember, you brought up late last season before the COVID hit, when they were playing well and all that. We don't have Tristan Thompson anymore, but we do have Jared Allen or JaVale McGee. So that's something. But when we had Andre Drummond and Kevin Love down there and it was working out well, when they need rest, you put Nance and Thompson there and you still gave Fitz teams down low. You can still do that with what you have now. Actually, right now, any team would take McGee or Allen over Tristan Thompson. There was an article written about Celtics are still waiting for him to show up. That was pretty much what it said. And I'm sure he will. But it's just he's just not playing the normal Tristan Thompson basketball we knew, and I don't know if it's a setting change or it's a coaching system change or what. But he's just, or it's a Kardashian thing. I have no idea.
There you go.
That's what he was thinking there.
Kardashian curse.
There you go.
So notice this now. Tristan's not on the Cavs no more. Cavs are playing a lot better.
I did know.
When Tristan was there, they weren't playing as well. The Kardashian curse.
It is. We're going to probably have to talk to some of our players and make sure. Look, you're going to have money. You're going to have attractive women too. Just make sure it's not a Kardashian. There's plenty of gals around here that your money can give you. Just don't settle for entertainment TV. Drama.
They have been playing a lot better without him, though. I'll tell you that right now.
They have, and I'm not blaming Tristan too, because near the end of last season he played very well. He did. He was even hitting threes on a consistent basis. The game me and Bob saw, we were there with Kevin Porter's best game he played as a pro. They beat the Heat. But Tristan had some key baskets, including I think 2 threes he had. Yeah, he's all of a sudden it was hitting threes. He was getting rebounds, playing tough. Actually, I remember they played big last night because I think Drummond was a little beat up. He wasn't having a great game either. Sexton had a bad game. They benched him. So their last 5 going into that game specifically, this is the Eastern Conference Champions, remind you, Garland, Porter, because Garland was dishing out the ball well. Porter was scoring. He had 31 that night. Tristan, Nance, and Love. Nance was at small forward. So they went all big there. And it worked because they were getting the rebounds, but Tristan was on a roll in that one. But it's just, at the end of the day, too, the Cavs got to spend the money where it's worth. And that's, they got a couple contracts coming up that they want to extend some young guys. And, I think I speak with everybody where we want to see Andre Drummond stay. Of course, we don't know what's been talked about in there. And this is coming from a city who our Browns team just turned it around. We lost Lindor with the Indians. It's like, we have a good thing rolling on the court. Can we just keep it, And so it's going to come down to numbers, contracts, and business. And
while we're still on the basketball talk, I know we don't talk a lot about high school lakes and all of that, but while we're still going to talk about it. But Chris Livingston out of Bookdale is the next so-called LeBron, or I say even KD type.
Right.
Up and coming. He's the only junior, Bookdale. He's back at Bookdale. He was at that Western Reserve last year. Now he's back at Bookdale. He had 54 2 weeks ago. He's averaging like almost 30, 40 a game. So I know we don't talk a lot about that, but there's something.
But it's important. No, it's important
to look at here the next couple of seasons of this kid's from Akron, Ohio, who's going to be blowing up here. ESPN's if you're going to get a hold of him. They already have a little bit, but yeah, he's not close to the LeBron blow up. But he's similar to the LeBron.
It might be because I don't mean to interrupt you here. Because of LeBron himself.
Yeah.
Because you can think about LeBron James isn't just the biggest name in Akron. He's not just the biggest name in the NBA. He's the biggest name in all sports. All sports. You could talk about Tom Brady being the GOAT, going to his 10th Super Bowl, winning the 7th. But I'm not taking anything against Tom Brady. This is an incredible career. Fantastic quarterback. Definitely hands down one of the best. When you go to overseas, when you go anywhere, basically, and you bring up sports, you have more of a chance of LeBron James' name coming up than Tom Brady. It's just the way it is. Because a lot of people forget, one other name that's killing it, a big Browns fan, and I bring up because when the Browns were good, he was talking all out praising. C.J. McCollum's from Canton, and people forget that. I know friends in Canton. They were talking about. Well, remember when we had that star player Eric Snow and what he did in the community? I was like, you have a star player now who is also doing stuff for the Canton community, but because LeBron James is from Akron, he's taking all the headlines. In the background, C.J. McCollum is doing some great stuff for the Canton
I remember
community.
going to watch McCollum. He was a big thing on Stark County. He didn't play for Glen Oak. Yeah. I remember, man, it was a big thing. That was his game. Lenote games never sold out.
Yeah.
They sold out when he played.
Exactly.
He was the next thing to see then. But yeah, I remember that little era there. It was a fun era there in Stark County. But like I'm saying, this Chris Livingston is the next thing big thing coming out of Akron. So it's going to be interesting to see what he's going to go directions for 1 year in college. I'm assuming. And then it's going to be interesting to see where he goes. But
if he goes, there are rumors, and that this is where
or no, they can go G League now, right?
They can go to the G League, but there's talks about legit because he won't be eligible. His senior year is 2021-22.
Yeah.
Okay. There's talks about between now and then NBA changing the rule to you can come out of high school again. And it is, of course, the rumor is set up. The rumor is to set up for LeBron James Jr. the following year to be able to be eligible to get it. You know what I mean? But they've been targeting the 2022 date for some reason. If that's true, he could just go to the NBA.
So yeah, at that 22, 20. Yeah, it'd be his junior now. So, it'd be that.
That's
okay.
it. I do have...
But YouTube them, man. He's phenomenal to watch.
He is. They've moved his... He's grew a little bit. He's 6'6". Yeah. At first, he had him as point guard, shooting guard. Now he's a small forward. I'm not an NBA scout, but you were bringing up LeBron, Durant. He reminds me more of Kobe. And I said that before Kobe passed, for the record. Because some people might say, well, people are going to be looking for the next Kobe because he's gone. I mean, that's just how people are. You know what I mean? And I was like, no, I'm watching this guy because his defense isn't quite like what LeBron's was and everything. Yeah. His passing's not quite, but his shooting ability and his scoring ability, the way he flies to the basket, the way he adjusts his shot. I looked at him and I said, this guy reminds me of Kobe. Now, I do have an update if you want to hear something. You were bringing up college. According to ESPN, he's got 3 offers.
Okay, yeah.
Akron, Ohio State.
That'd be sweet.
UAB has given him an offer too, and I do know supposedly North Carolina, Duke have looked at him, both of them. There was I think USC. There's a California school somewhere out there looking at him, but I mean he made some comments early about his interest in being a Zip. You know what I mean? If he becomes a Zip and stays healthy, they're automatically in the big tournament.
Yeah.
They could be automatically through the next 2 rounds. How good this kid is. I'll say that. Like, you have a superstar kid of his caliber on your team. I don't care who you are. You're going to go a couple rounds in that big tournament. I mean, this kid, it would be sweet just to see him just be like, look, I'm the Akron kid, so I'm going to go and I'm going to change the Akron program for a while. Just showing up. Because that attracts recruits and all that. Once your name gets out there. And everything, and that attracts students. Well, people don't remember. This was years ago. We're probably like in 2008, 2009. Do you remember when George Washington went to the Final Four?
Oh yeah,
that year.
Yeah,
their student tuition went up 200%. Nobody knew who they were.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, they were a name. They were looking at it, like other students were looking up and said, "Hey, I would like to go there." I would, and they were talking. Now, that number might be over exaggerated, but I think I had a teacher that told me back at one of my old schools, Indiana Tech, that it was up towards 200. I mean, it blew up. Is what it did. That could happen in Akron if he were to decide. Again, if I've talked to assistant coaches at college programs, men's and women's, that have told me. Chris has been brought up in conversation. They said, "Oh, if NBA has that option, he's going to go straight to the NBA. He's that good." No, this is the next. This is the next big. And it's funny because I googled him up. You got your pictures here and everything. First picture is LeBron.
Yeah.
But no, the new era's coming. And people got to remember, Nate Thurman was from Akron too. And Steph Curry was born in Akron.
Yeah.
There's been a complete Akron past here.
It's been. But yeah, he's back at Book though.
With he's got a twin, but his twin, he's good, but he's not
as.
Yeah. He's not as explosive, but he's good. Like he could be a Division I. He could go to Akron realistically and play.
Book though, he's not the only. Actually, there's a lot of other good players on Book team. They're good.
Yeah.
I mean, their point guards are real good. He's top.
I mean, they've already won a championship with him.
Yeah, he
left and then he went to West
left
Virginia.
and came back.
And he was a freshman when they won it all too. You know,
he left because of coaching thing. Now the coach, what's that book? There was that CVCA, so he came back.
Oh, did he?
So it was all coaching. That's why he left. He didn't get along with the coach and stuff. So
that makes a lot of sense here. Before we go on break, 99-86 Cavaliers leading it with 9:16 to go. Real quick, same pretty much for the Pistons. 19 points from Jeremy Grant. 14 for Wayne Ellington. 13 for Mason Plumlee. I brought up Wayne Ellington used to play for the Cavs. So did Derrick Rose, who now has 12 in this game. For the Cavaliers, 24 by Sexton, 14 by Garland and Prince, and by Andre Drummond too. 10 points for Jarrett Allen. We got to go on our last break. We'll be back in 5 minutes for the 9 o'clock hour, the final half hour of 10 Cent Beer Night here at PolymerCityRecords.com. So please stay tuned.
These blues. This morning the blues walked in like a man. All these blues. The blues walked in like a man. Worried blues. Give me your right hand. The blues is a low down and a shaking chill. Yes, preach it now. If you ain't never had 'em, I hope you never will. When I preach these blues, you come on in, take your seat and sit on down. When I preach these blues, you come on in, take your seat and sit on down. And if the spirit moves you, if the spirit moves you, and if the spirit moves you, Lord, if the spirit moves you, jump straight up and down. That these blues is a low down and an aching heart disease. Yeah, these blues is a low down and an aching old heart disease. Like consumption, killing me 5 degrees. I can study the rain. Oh, I drive my blues away. I've been studying the rain. I'm gonna drive my blues away. Going out to the distillery. Gonna stay out there all day. Up jump the devil.
And welcome back to 10 Cent Beer Night, the sports show at PolymerCityRecords.com every Wednesday, 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm Seth.
I'm Chris.
And we're wrapping up today's show. Here, Cavaliers taking a big lead against the Detroit Pistons. Let me pull up an update for you here. That is 105-88 with 6:58 left to go is what I have. So they're going to be trying to pull through and end that one. About the same scoring there was when we left for the break, so not too much as far as the top scorers go there. What was I going to say? I think that was the one thing I was going to bring up. Andre Drummond's double streak, it continues tonight after 14 points, 10 rebounds. Very, very impressive streak he has. Another stat I want to point out, too. Isaac Okoro, 7 assists, leads the team. So he's passing the ball well tonight. He leads the game in assists because Wright, for the Pistons, has 6. And that's the most on their side there, too. Isaac Okoro learning the ropes there. His offense is still struggling. But he's picking it up. He's taking more wide open shots and everything. He was been hesitant for a while and was saying he was looking at some film and just saw him with these wide open shots not take him. So why didn't I just take that shot? He had a key 3 against the Lakers.
Right.
Again, after missing a couple of layups. So he's learning the ropes. He's got that good hustle though, and he's tough on defense. So I mean he's got some potential to be a special player in this league. It's just going to take a while. I think a lot of people don't realize, basketball fans, we got spoiled by LeBron James and Kevin Durant in their rookie seasons being just stars right off the bat. You look at how James Harden and Russell Westbrook wore their rookie year to the next couple of years. You could say the same thing about Dwayne Wade and a couple other stars. It takes a minute. It really does.
Right.
For a lot of these guys in the NBA to make their adjustments. It's not like in the NFL where a rookie can come out, be a great fantasy option, can set records, can be a Pro Bowler or whatnot. It takes a bit. Major League Baseball, we don't see them for another 4, 5, 6 years anyway. When they first get drafted into the league, and then their rookie year, it's either electric or it's not. It's so. I mean, but that's the thing in basketball. It's still going to take them a bit. Maybe not too terribly long, but you look at the progress we've seen out of Colin Sexton. Even look at Darius Garland, who just come back from injury, how he's looked this year compared to last year. There's a big difference already. They just got to get their feet wet, get some experience underneath them, and then go into the off season and prepare and whatnot. And I think that's what some people are not getting with as far as some of these rookies go and everything. Like, we'll see Anthony Edwards, the first overall pick this weekend against the Cavaliers. I think he's a great player. I think he's going to pay it out very well. Wiseman for the Golden State. He's been pretty solid too. He's gonna prepare well. But the big one is Lonzo Ball. Playing very well so far. Not explosive, not breaking records or whatever, but he's had a couple triple doubles now. He's starting to really make his adjustments. But if there's an early Rookie of the Year, it's him right now.
Right.
That and the Hornets needed a star player for a while. I don't think they've had a legit star player carry them since like Baron Davis, and we're talking a long time ago. Unfortunately, as great of a player Michael Jordan was, he's not the greatest owner, and they're not the greatest scouts either. Yeah. Like they've blown a lot of picks. The Charlotte Hornets are where the Browns were for years. You know, I mean, they were just there at that bottom. Now they made a playoff appearance a couple years ago. It was basically a bunch of role player veterans, kind of on their last leg that wanted to make some noise. And again, they lost in the first round, so it just didn't pan out. But maybe now they're heading down the right direction. I mean, they're not going to be a playoff team this year, but if they can add another great piece along with Lonzo, then it's going to add up. And again, with the way the NBA draft is set up, they don't have to be a bottom 3 team to get a good pick. They could be the 8th worst team and find a way to that top top 3 there. So a lot of options there for the Charlotte Hornets there. It's good. It's going to be interesting how everything it pans out in the next couple weeks there for the NBA, and what potential trades too could happen there.
Now, I think with this All-Star break they're going to have, I'm curious to see how many days it's going to be. Is it going to be the full time that they normally would have it, or is it going to be shortened down because of the COVID?
They have a set of days. It's about 5 days, I think.
5 days.
5 or 6 days there. Yeah, that they'll at least have off, if not a game.
Right. Because right now you see with the season, though, all these games are consistently rapid. It's there's not really a lot of days off between a lot of these games because they're trying to do a bubble. What they're trying to do, So I was wondering how they're going to manage that with the COVID rules and all of that, and try to get a bubble going in the time that they're off, So it's one thing that hasn't had really a big outbreak yet of COVID in the NBA so far yet this season, which is good. But of course, you had a couple postponed games because of it, but not major games. I was curious to see how they would do that.
Exactly, and they're gonna make the best decision possible. I think Adam Silver has been a very good. He's been the best commissioner in pro sports, and I understand the NFL had a hard time, but they actually got through it pretty well. Major League Baseball playing it as best as they could, but I think Adam Silver, he's got great communication, a great relationship with owners and players, and I bring that up because you can't say that for the other commissioners.
Right.
I mean, you got stuff like Rob, what's his name? I don't like him at all. Manfred, for baseball, he seems to be more tight with the owners in the league than he is with the players. He's more of a business guy than a person that loves the game. If you're executive of a league, you got to be a business guy. I'm not saying Adam Silver's not, but Adam Silver wanted to grow the league. He's done stuff in Africa and other countries too to expand to bring the game there, help the community with fundings and all kinds of charity work and all that kind of stuff. He's given the NBA a good name, and he's given the game a good look and a good name too. Where Manfred's okay, this is how do we get these owners all this money? How do we shorten the game? And it makes no sense. Then you have Roger Goodell, who's tried to expand the league, and he made certain changes that I didn't feel were appropriate. But then there's changes that he should make, and he didn't. Then you have the situation where, for example, I don't know if you know this story. This is kind of a funny story. The last NFL draft was done virally. Mm-hmm. Okay, we watched ESPN, NFL Network did a very good job of showing it. Roger Goodell did the first round in his basement, and they did a bidding for charity where you could sit down and watch the Super Bowl with him in his basement on his big TV. You didn't hear about this?
No.
Okay, this was real. It was a charity, and the biggest bidder got to sit with him and watch the Super Bowl in the basement where he hosted the first round of the NFL draft. He canceled it because the president of Barstool Sports, the news journalism, won. Oh. And he knew he was going to bicker and bitch at him the whole time while they were down there. He didn't want him in his house. So they gave, I forget what they gave him some other kind of reward, but he refused to let that guy, and that's how Raj Goodell is. Now, I understand if it's a serial killer that somehow had the money to come up and win. I understand if it's a guy, if it's somebody random and weird that it might be uncomfortable, but I can't say the guy from Barstool, it's like that. I mean, it's the guy won. I'm sure they gave him something, but it was just weird. But that's my thoughts on the whole thing. NBA is going to figure it out, though. Yeah. They're going to play it by ear. They're going to talk to the Players Association. They're going to decide something there. Before we talk about the closing Cavs game here, real quick, Cleveland Indians update news. Good news and bad news in a way. We'll start with the bad. People were wondering, will Brad Hand come back this year? Officially not. He signs a 1-year deal with the Washington Nationals, so Cleveland will have an opening for closer going into camp. The good news is, and I'm very happy to hear this because this was one of my favorite players from last year, and I liked him before he was even an Indian. Cesar Hernandez is coming back to play second base for the Indians. He signed a 1-year deal with a team option for the 2022 season, and that sets him up well. That gives him another veteran out there. He was a Gold Glover. He led the league in doubles, which was only 20-some because there was only 60 games. He was consistent on both sides of the ball. This also gives times for the other guys to develop. Of course, they have options right now at shortstop with Lindor and Gutierrez there, who will probably be shortstop. Ramos will probably be the backup there. But now Tyler Freeman can get some time to work in the minors. He was heavily favored to be the next second baseman for the Indians. Since shortstop might go to somewhere else, but they have options for both shortstop and second base. I mean, they have Indians actually, believe it or not, are a monster right now in prospects for middle infield right now. So now it gives them time to develop a bit. Cesar Hernandez is back. He'll join Jose Ramirez in that infield, and makes me feel a little bit better. The big question will be that outfield and what young guys are going to step up and be part of that opening day roster.
But I think there is talks that the Braves are looking at Jose, I believe.
Braves, Brewers, it's all been talked.
Okay, yeah.
And Onetti has come out and said from the very beginning, he said Jose is our long-term option at third. Okay, if they were going to trade him, he would have not said that. Right. That's what I mean. That's things I know. There's minds that change this and that, and but we've never had a situation where Indians representatives come out and said so-and-so's in our long-term plans and they up and trade him. Usually when it came to before CC gets traded, well, we're trying to work out a deal.
Right.
We're not sure what's going to happen. Before Cliff Lee gets traded, well, we're trying to work out something. We're not sure what's going to... And then that's where that's kind of the hint. These guys are going to trade. Same thing with Francisco Lindor. Well, we're talking, Jose's under contract the next couple of years. They said he's going to be part of the team. He's going to be part of the team. They never said Lindor was going to be opening day shortstop this year, and definitely not going to happen. Last year they did, and he was. No, teams are interested because they think there's going to be a fire sale somewhere, and there's not. Jose's under contract. I don't know how much longer Jose's going to be in Cleveland. With everything going on, but he's under contract the next couple of years. He will be here opening day.
Yeah.
It's just not. I mean, unless there's a deal they cannot resist, Jose's going to be here. And I think it's funny that the Braves are picking on him because the one player that he's been compared to several times as far as career goes is Chipper Jones. So it makes a lot of sense the Braves would want him there. Braves need a little bit more punch too because they almost went to the World Series but they didn't quite make it. they maybe a little bit more offense, but not this year. Jose's going to be staying in Cleveland, and the Indians. That's almost season suicide.
Yeah,
you break down their offense. Okay, Jose's the guaranteed guy. He's the only guy. Not Lindor. Lindor was always in the top 15 in the MVP voting the past couple years, but Jose 3 of the past 4 years top 3. I mean that says a lot right there. But you're gonna have Jose at third, Caesar at second, probably Gutierrez at shortstop. He's just a better defensive guy there. He'll be pants out. Perez behind the plate. I'm making an early prediction that Josh Naylor is going to be at first base. A lot of guys might have somebody else right there. Maybe Bobby Bradley gets a shot. I'm going to say it's going to be Josh Naylor. I got Nolan Jones, the rookie at left field. I got either Mercado or Zimmer in center. Both of them I think will be on the team, but one of them is going to be the regular starter at center field eventually. And right fielder, I got Daniel Johnson. And DH will be Franmil Reyes, who will be the other big bat in the lineup.
Right.
So, right on paper, it doesn't look bad, especially with the good pitching, but it's like at the same time, I think what gets me is this is the last year under the Indians' name, and you don't know what kind of year you're going to have, you know. They are still potentially a playoff threat. The only issue is how are the Twins and the White Sox going to look coming in. Tigers are getting better, but they're not quite there yet. And Royals might surprise some people. That their division's slowly getting tougher and tougher. So it's going to be very interesting. But Indians still are top 5 in pitching. So I'm going to leave that.
Right.
Leave it at that there. But I just want to mention the Cesar Hernandez signing and everything. They're probably going to bring back another player or two. Not bring back. I should say bring in another veteran or two for a relatively what Major League Baseball would consider a cheap contract. They always do. Just grab a couple before spring training and see who makes the team. But we'll find out there. I think that the biggest question mark going into training camp is spring training, I should say, which is coming up in a few weeks.
Yeah.
It's going to be closer. Who's going to be and they have a couple options there in their system as far as that's concerned. But they'll be here before you know it. 2 minutes and 42 seconds left to go. Cavs 117-99. So they're pulling there. They're going to earn their 9th win there. 24 points for Jeremy Grant, 17 for Wayne Ellington, 13 for Mason Plumlee and Derrick Rose. Rebound leader for the Pistons right now is Mason Plumlee at 12. Assist is, I want to get this guy. I think it's Dallin Wright. He's got 7 assists. For the Cavaliers, 26 points for Colin Sexton, 19 points for Andre Drummond, 16 points for Prince, 14 points for Garland, and I thought I saw another 14 there. No, I did not. I guess not. The rebound leader, Andre Drummond, of course, with 14. Yeah. Assist is Okoro with 7. So they're going to pull out this one. They're up by 17, 117-100.
This win might move them back up to 6th, I believe.
Right.
Because they were there until the Lakers lost. So, I mean, that's not a bad position to be in right now. 6th spot right here for playoffs. I'll take that.
Exactly.
With being a team that's been injured and all that, and a lot of young players, I'll take that.
I did see coming off the recent news, Jason Witten is going to retire again. He played for the Raiders this year. He was with the Cowboys most of his career. Yeah. He's getting up there. I mean, obviously, Raiders are set at tight end with the guy that I can't even think of his name on top of my head, but he was very, very good. You
say, so I wonder if he's going to get back in broadcasting or
he should.
Like he was doing. I guess Phil Rivers is looking at getting the TV.
And he had a couple Darren Waller for the Raiders. That's who I couldn't think of. Great tight end there. No, you're right. I think both him and Rivers should consider it. The more good player broadcasting analyst, however you want to label it, the better. As long as we can get Joe Buck out of there, as long as we get Aqib Talib out of there.
I like Joe Buck to stay. I think they like him. He's
got a connection. That's how
something going on.
That's how it works there. The players don't quite like him. That's been said there.
But I tell you what, who's good is Tony Romo.
Yeah, he's underrated.
He got a lot of kind of flack at the beginning when he first started this, but he's pretty good. I think he's pretty good.
I don't understand when I hear people go like, "Oh, without we have to hear Tony Romo." Yeah. I was like, he's not bad. He's got some good input on there.
What I like about him, he explains the game. What a lot of analysts and stuff don't do. They don't explain the game like he does. Of course, he's played it,
Right.
But that's why I like how he explains the game to you. That's why I like it.
Blows my mind is the fact he's retired.
Yeah, I know.
Because there's some players, probably even like Chad Henne, that were there before he was and still play. Yeah. And I understand Romo took more hits than Chad Henne, if you want to be all specific. But it's... Yeah, he had a great career, and I thought he would continue it.
He had that back injury.
Which that does a lot within itself.
Shoulder, he had a couple. The back injury really killed him, though. His back injury really killed his career.
I don't have a bad back, but everybody I know that does. It's hell. So I can't
another thing I read, they were saying that Drew Brees was playing with he had ribs. He was playing
broken
ribs in the shoulder or something in that game. He was playing with another injury, I guess, supposedly.
It's
game versus
time.
The Packers.
Yeah,
so I think he hasn't made the call yet, but I think it's
I think he's done.
At the Super Bowl, you'll hear that, and Drew Brees.
Right, and I like Brees a lot. I think he's a great player. I think he's a class actor. I feel like Sean Payton. I'll be interested to see what direction they go. I know there's a rumor as far as the Matt Stafford stuff goes.
Yeah, it wouldn't be bad for Stafford there because Winston's not the quarterback they need. I don't care what they say. He's not.
They don't feel it either. Yeah. Real quick, while we're talking NFL and moving forward to a real quick update on the head coaching hires for going forward. Of course, Jaguars hired Urban Meyer. The Jets hired 49ers defense coordinator Robert Saleh. Los Angeles Chargers hired defense coordinator Brandon Staley. Detroit Lions hired Saints assistant coach Dan Campbell. Philadelphia Eagles surprised people and hired Colts offense coordinator Nick Sirianni, which that means Josh McDaniels has once again lost his job to another offensive coordinator. The only team left there's one that's not listed. Okay, Falcons hired Arthur Smith, offense coordinator of the Titans. Only team left is the Houston Texans. They did some more interviews here. Let me pull up once it loads because it's. They've talked to Eric Bieniemy of the Chiefs, Joe Brady of the Panthers, Jim Caldwell, David Culley of the Ravens, assistant head coach, wide receivers coach that he got called today, Matt Eberflus of the Colts. Leslie Frazier got a interview today. He's with the Bills, defense coordinator. Tim Kelly of the Texans, offensive coordinator. Marvin Lewis. Josh McCown. He's the Texans quarterback coach there. And then they did talk to Brandon Staley, but he has been hired by the Jaguars. There, so a couple of them surprised me, but there you go. It will be interesting to see where the Texans go because, Eric Bieniemy, second year in a row, he's been considered a high coaching prospect. He was actually number one to a lot of people this offseason. If they don't pick him, he's going to go into next year. I mean, he's with the Chiefs. He's got a good job. He ain't going anywhere unless Andy Reid were to decide to retire if they win the Super Bowl this year. Maybe he gets promoted. That's either here or there. Another guy. Again, I brought up Josh McDaniels. It looks like Texans aren't going to look his way. So it looks like he's lost out again a possible.
Does he actually want to leave, though?
Yeah, that's the question.
He has it's not bad what he's doing.
Right. Well, what hurt him, too, is getting caught cheating back in Denver, and I think that's what hurt him the most. Trading up for Tim Tebow was kind of a gutsy call, too. You just can't make him the general manager either. And, there had to be something, too, and I don't know what was said in that Browns meeting last year. Of course, they were leaning towards Stefanski, which they eventually picked. But there was, Haslam always had interest with Josh McDaniel, excuse me. He's a local kid. He's from Barberton.
McKinley, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right. I forget. Somebody has told me Barberton several times, so I guess
McKinley.
He's from Canton, and something turned him off completely in that, and I wonder if it was a control factor, front office and whatnot. If they didn't want to go that direction, you don't blame them that. And I think McDaniels, he's a good coach, but just it's up there. But he could be, maybe he's the heir to, if Belichick decides it's time to hang it up. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that McDaniels comes in. I do know the former his name is slipping my mind. He just got fired from the Lions this year. Patricia, yeah. He's going back to New England.
I figured that. Yeah, I figured he was doing. Yeah.
And
defensive coach.
Defensive coach. Yeah, he won't be coordinator, but he's going to be on the defensive side.
I figured that was going to happen.
Yeah, a great defensive coach. I don't know if he was head coach material yet. It was kind of. The thing about what I read about him, what was interesting was he's actually a rocket scientist. No joke, dead serious. And he just used his the way he thinks of things and formats, whatever. He kind of put it into football, but a different way. He just thinks up different defensive planning and strategies different than a lot of coaches, but it worked.
Right.
You know what I mean? And when they hired him as head coach, I kind of wondered, this looks a little bit of a risk. Obviously, it was. We'll see if Dan Campbell with his biting off kneecaps works. But they hired John Dorsey today too, as an executive. So things are changing around for Detroit over there.
Yeah, they got to get a quarterback, which is going to be interesting. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do with that.
Right.
I mean, that's big right now. They got to find that quarterback, so that's going to be very interesting.
That will be interesting. Like we are assuming the draft and all that, but do they bring in somebody like a Carson Wentz too, or somebody with a similar skill set as Stafford? But there's going to be a big change up in the NFL, and this reminds me similar. I mean, there was a change up with the Tom Brady leaving the Bucs, but that was one move. This reminds me when Breeze and Culpepper were free agents. Okay, now Culpepper didn't pan out in Miami, but he was a big deal at the time. And you saw some other trades at that time and just how everything just shifted in some long-term effects, including Breeze going to the Saints, Rivers staying as Chargers guy. You're going to see something similar there all over the place, but it's going to be very interesting where everybody goes and what conference, too. Because, again, I think Rodgers is going to stay with Green Bay, but if he were to go, they're going to trade him to an AFC team. I don't think they want him in the NFC. They don't want him. They don't want him stopping them. You look at Deshaun Watson. Does he stay in the AFC? I know Jets are very interested. I know the Dolphins are very interested. Then you got those quarterbacks with. You got those teams with the top picks and everything. We know Jacksonville's going to go with Lawrence. That's going to be pretty much written in stone. We don't have to worry about that one. But do the Jets want to go quarterback, or they trade for somebody? You know what I mean?
I don't know. I don't think Donald's that bad.
I don't think so either. But
to tell you the truth, but I know it's the new wherever they want to go, direction they want to go. But I don't think he's really not the problem.
Right. No, I agree. I actually agree with you.
That kind of blows my mind, but
it's interesting because I think they picked the right head coach. I like Robert Saleh a lot. Yeah. I thought when the Browns were between him and Stefanski, I said, well, hopefully they can't go wrong because both these guys look good. And Stefanski ended up being the Browns guy. But with Saleh there, he's a defensive guy. So does he bring in what offensive guy? And I haven't looked up who he's bringing in for coordinator or whatever. Do they want to move forward with Darnold? Or, because they kept their same GM. Or do they say, give this guy one more year on surround him with better players, and see what he does. And I think that's the smart move because he isn't bad. He really is, but he's got nobody there. There's nobody there at all, and which has led to the terrible season that they did have. They did beat my Browns, so they had that, but that's besides the point there. For the Cavaliers, it is final 122-107. there. We'll just read up the Cavs list there. 29 points for Sexton, 5 assists, 5 rebounds. 23 points for Andre Drummond, 16 rebounds. 14 points for Darius Garland, 4 assists. Isaac Okoro, they took an assist away from him and did 10.6 assists. I don't know what happened there, but there's just one gone now. That's pretty much a breakdown of your game right there. But they did when they'll improve to 9-9. Pistons will go down to 4-14. So we're back up to 500. Cavaliers win, and that is official. This is not like last week where a friend texted me and said this game is done. And then right after we cut off, that's where I had my phone explode with about Sexton's big shot and all that kind of stuff, which was huge within itself. But there you go. So it's going to be interesting. Chris, thanks for coming in again. Yep. We'll see you next week. We'll talk more about the Super Bowl. We'll have our picks for sure ready to stone there. We'll talk about how the Cavs did between now and then. Time is up for 10 Cent Beer Night here at PolymerCityRecords.com. We thank you guys for joining us today. Enjoyed Northeast Ohio sports and more. We'll be back next Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time here on PolymerCityRecords.com. I'm Seth.
I'm Chris.
Go Cavaliers!
Go Malone.
There you go.